Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and I hope that everyone who lives in the US had a great Thanksgiving and was safe during Black Friday. So anywho, let's get on with the video. So I intended on doing a colored pencil video, or a Crayola colored pencil video to be exact, considering that I'm home now. But then I found my Bic Mark-its, so that's why I decided to do this video instead. And I love my Bic Mark-its, I really do, but it's been a long time since the last time I touched them. I got these around the same time that I started using the Crayola Super Tips from my last video. I was using them both at around the same time-ish. I think the Bic Mark-its might be a tad bit later, so yeah, so like I kind of upgraded from the Crayolas to the Bic Mark-its, and you know, that's how it kind of worked out. And it was kind of like my introduction to alcohol-based markers. So I was working with colored pencils, and then I went to water-based markers, and then I went to Bic Mark-its following. So for the Bic Mark-its, I had like the 36 pack, and I guess I stored it somewhere. So since I'm home, I kind of rummaged through all of my stuff, and I found, you know, some goodies that I knew existed but kind of forgotten about, and these Bic Mark-its were one of them. And if you guys are interested in them, you can actually find them for pretty cheap nowadays on Amazon, because when I first got them, they were like about $20-$25 at like Walmart and stuff. But now you can find it for like $13 for like the whole 36 set of the fine tip markers on Amazon. So I think that's pretty bomb. Anyway, so for this, as you can see, I kind of incorporated a few like Copics and whatnot in the mix too, and that's just because like the Bic Mark-its obviously are not going to cover every color in the spectrum, especially the skin tones. The only color that really fits that deal is Peach Parfait, but it's more of like a pink peach rather than a skin tone color, so you know, I substituted some Copics in there, but the majority of the drawing was done with the Bic Mark-its. And I think I did add a little bit of the Shinhan Touch markers in there for the gray of her shirt, and I believe for the shading of her little sweater thing. And I think I did use one Bic marker for the background, which you'll see later, but that's just to fill in like solid color, so it's not really that big of a deal. Everything else is done with Bic Mark-it, as you will see. So anyway, back in the day, sorry again that I keep saying back in the day, it's like I'm not old, and it's not really that like long ago. It was 2012, so it's only been 5 years, but I keep saying back in the day. I don't know why. Sometimes I like to feel wise even though I'm still really young. But anyway, so I used to color just kind of I used to kind of fit into the usual color scheme. And what I mean by that is, let's say if I were to color with a purple, I would immediately like shade it with another purple. But as you guys know from my coloring nowadays, that I kind of go all over the place. The colors still work together, of course, but they're not usually associated with each other. So let's say if I color something now with purple, I'm going to shade it with blue instead of, you know, another purple. And I guess that fits me a little bit better, and that's what makes my colorings just a little bit different. A lot of artists do that too. It's, I guess, after you kind of work with the colors that you're comfortable with, meaning like the colors that are similar, then you can branch out to experiment with other things as well. So that's kind of the whole case with this. And I remember I used to have a hard time coloring with the Bic Mark-its when I first started out, because everything kind of looked too blocky. That probably doesn't make any sense, but I would just lay down the color and I would shade with it, and it didn't really look that special, I guess, in my eyes. So I always had a little trouble with that, and like at the time I couldn't really afford Copics and markers and stuff. And not saying that like I can totally do that now, because obviously I do have them, but back then I was very cost efficient, because like I was just starting out, so I didn't want to splurge on anything huge. And obviously, you know, Copics are an investment and not everyone can afford them, and it takes time to really accumulate them, and that's why I have as many as I do. So I guess you have to experiment with other things beforehand before like splurging into the big world of like professional art supplies. So after the Bic Mark-its, I got some pro markers, and that's how I kind of really delved into the world of alcohol markers. So I would use my pro markers alongside my Bic Mark-its, and then eventually I kind of transitioned over to only pro markers. And then from the pro markers, I transitioned into brush markers, and then from brush markers, I transitioned into Copics, and here we are today. But you know what's funny is that usually, like, people will use watercolor first and then go into Copic. I do, like, everything reversed, it would seem, so I went from Copic to watercolor. Obviously, you don't have to follow, like, a sequence, but it's just funny how, like, I went this different direction. And the same thing goes with, like, my regular drawings now. For those of y'all who don't know, so I actually started out coloring with digital before I started coloring with like colored pencils or anything. So I went straight from drawing, inking to digital, which is kind of funny. And then I was more experienced with digital than I was with traditional. So then I switched over onto the traditional train, and then now I'm kind of struggling with digital. So it's all funny how things kind of work out. And everyone follows their own little path into art, so, you know, don't worry about, I should be at this stage right now or whatever. Just do what you want to do, and things will work out on their own. Because here's the thing, you gotta remember, life is long, and y'all got a lot of time, and you should be worrying about other things, or not even worrying about things at all. Just go with the flow and take things as they are. So, video is going to end, and I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Bye!